Welcome to Sunshine Forest on Farming Simulator 25. We're reclaiming a wilderness. It's episode 1 with me, MrSealyp. Ladies and gentlemen, and so it begins. I'm heading up MrSealyp's Pioneers, my company, and our job is to go into areas and re-establish communities, I guess, is the best way of putting it, whether it be abandoned logging operations, whether it be abandoned farmsteads, farm estates, whether it's mining operations, whatever it might be. We're sent in first. We're the pioneer team, and we come into the area, and our job is to clear routes, is to clear a path, is to re-establish communications, is to rebuild buildings, whatever it might be, infrastructure and access, so that bigger operations can then commence. Now, we've been employed by the Ministry of the Interior. We don't have any funds ourselves. I pride myself on the fact I can come in here with nothing but a pocket knife and we can make things work. And we have got nothing. Top right, no money. I don't have... do we have a flashlight? Oh, we should have a flashlight, shouldn't we? Flashlight. We have a flashlight. That's it. So, the Ministry have already laid on a job. And we're in that position. There are no contracts. There's no contracts available. There are no fields. But we do have the contracts plus. So we've got deadwood, logging bits and bobs, things like that. So we can get sort of started. So we have got one laid on for us, and we need to head out to what was the previous. Well, let's have a look at the map. This is the map. We don't own any land. I don't have any land either. Nothing. I don't have a logging camp. I don't have a tent. I don't have anything. So what we're going to do is, so the Ministry owns this plot here, which has got the railway. Now, the railway runs fairly regularly, comes right the way through and off out. Anything we need to come in is going to come in by train to start off with. Potentially at some point we might get stuff coming by road if we're going to get heavy hauling stuff, and I don't know what we're going to do. So what we're aiming to do, now this was originally a logging mining operation out in this wilderness. Decades ago. The company that ran it on behalf of the Ministry went bust. The Ministry wouldn't fund it anymore and kind of gave up. But that, I'm talking, that's decades ago. Administrations have come and gone, and the cool thing with that being, this is such a cool area, that over those decades, trees have regrown, stuff, it's all as it is and was. And what's that? Now there's a result. Look at that. We have a means of transportation, ladies and gentlemen. A logging bike. That's what we do. Let's see if we get on this. Oh. Hope we can get out of here. We've got a bike. We haven't got to walk everywhere. Well, that's a result. Cool. Now, I'm also going to, before anyone starts doing the whole, oh, this is going to be like it, that's it. That's all there is. There's a bike. There's nothing else. No other vehicles, apart from obviously the contract stuff, which has been laid on, whether that's been brought in by train, whether it's been flown in by helicopter. That's what we need in game. I remember seeing that years and years ago. Was it Landy Kid? It was Landy Kid was doing a series and flew a tractor in by helicopter. Oh, it was so cool. I remember sitting watching that thinking, that is the coolest thing I've ever seen. Obviously, we had it a little bit on Alien Jim's map, didn't we? The helicopter would go up and down. You could load it and off it went. That was pretty cool. I used to like that. Anyway. All that being said, so so our job. Can we get into here? No, I didn't thought so because we don't own the land. So, so yeah, of all the of all the ones I've done in the past, this is going to be an interesting one. So anyway, so the point behind this being, when this started off originally as a logging camp, and there is a precedent for this. But like I said, I was watching the other day. I was watching. Hang on, which way do I need to go? I think it's this way. We'll find out in a minute when we cycle for the next 5 minutes and don't get anywhere. Yeah, I've been watching a logging series called The Woodsman. And on part of the series I was watching, they go out to re-establish a logging camp that was abandoned like 15 years previously. And the bears have been at it, and the moose, and it's a bit of a mess, and it all needs a lot of the equipment. It was just abandoned. Now, these logging operations are worth however much they're worth. They go completely bankrupt. It costs more money to bring the equipment back out again from these remote locations. Just gets left, bang, everything. And I was kind of blown away by that. But I suppose it happens all over the world. these really remote locations that are only accessible by train, and the train journey could be a day, you know, or longer to get to where it's going. So logging operations started off. During logging operations, they found various different seams, different locations for things to mine. So there was like iron ore and coal and limestone and all sorts of stuff was mined out of the area. And then out of that, because it was costing so much money to have food and necessities and essentials bought in, a thriving community built up. I suppose like no different to the pioneering, you know, the Wild West, you know, when the Americas were established and everything landed on the East Coast pretty much, and then everything headed west, gold rush and that kind of stuff. These towns sprung up out of necessity because the miners needed resources. They needed feeding, they needed hotels, they, you know, and then obviously the farming in this area then sprung up around that because it was cheaper and easier to have farmers out here that were farming the land, producing food to feed the workforce than it was to keep bringing food in. But obviously, once the mining packed up and then the logging operations stopped and that all then disappeared, the farming very, very quickly followed suit because the farmers, it was then too expensive for the farmers to farm and ship their stuff out of the area elsewhere. So it all just dried up. So our job is to get all of that, if we can, some of it, part of it, back on its feet. And that's what we're going to try and do. We're going to rebuild a community. So some of the stuff here, you know, we've still got, like I say, the railway line still comes through. Yeah, we have to do everything. I'm excited for this. I do like these. You know, when you start off and you've got all this ahead of you. You know, Riverbend Springs, we went into an established farm. We got cracking with some stuff when we moved out onto Prairie Farm. Now this is running alongside Prairie Farm at the moment. And this is not, you know, this is not full-blown narrative storyline. This is just the backstory behind why we're here. From this point on, we're just here. You know, we'll have some stuff every now and again. We'll have to establish, oh, that's what we probably need to do at some point. We'll get a radio tower in. If we can get a radio tower in, once we can establish a radio communications, rather than just a sat phone or something like that. Actually, I don't even have an axe or a machete. Don't even have the money to buy one. Then we can, that's when we can radio for supplies and stuff like that. We can get the little lumber mill up and running if we can. What else? I don't know. Like I say, I don't know at the moment. This will depend very heavily on what we already have available, and it will also depend very heavily on what new items become available, you know? Let's park our bicycle. So this is it. This is what we've got for our first job, which is a bit of a result, but this won't stay once the logging operation's done. I mean, I'm assuming I'm going to have to do a few of those because we need to sort out a small plot of land. Actually, just have a look at the map. You know, where are we going to? So from here, oh, okay, that's going to be a bit of a... We're going to have to go from... What's that? How is... That's peculiar. How is the farmhouse... What plot of land do they own? So if they own that, how do they own... Okay, that's weird. I don't even remember seeing that. Okay, well, there's a farmhouse. I don't think I can access it, but we'll go and have a look. That'll make life a little bit easier. I'm just thinking, if we've got this lorry, that's where we've got a log from. I wonder if we can go straight across here. Oh, no, the railways. Oh, we can have a look. Otherwise, it means driving all the way back down the way we just cycled to... Oh, that's the river, isn't it? There? Then back up? Yeah. That would be a lot easier, wouldn't it? Right, okay. So what we'll do, let's go and do this first log job. Then we'll have a bit of money. Say a bit of money. What's this one worth? 7 grand, something like that. Something along them lines. Oh, rock removal. Okay, so we've got all those deadwood, rock removal, those bits and bobs. This, I said this a while back. This makes life. Oh, that's not a bad one actually. Rather than sort of a 3 grand or a 4 grand. And then what we've got to aim towards is, let's say, a plot. I don't know what are the prices. We need to find a cheapish one. 106. Well, they're not too expensive, generally speaking, anyway, are they? 78. Okay. 81. 122. 81. Oh, 53, okay. 82, 53. Oh, okay, so 53, 7, 53, 4. That's cheaper. Mind you, though, is that open ground or has that got logging on it? I need something with a bit of a few trees, but I suppose they're the cheaper ones, aren't they? By far. Yeah. Let me get on to the more expensive, I guess. Oh, not too bad. Well, okay, that's going to be, we'll have to build up to that. Yeah, so let's have a look and see if we can. Oh no, just suddenly realised, haven't I? Isn't it funny? You build up, like when I was doing Riverbend Springs, I built up my whole kind of my logging operation. And we'd got to that point where, is there a crossing anywhere? We'll have a bit of whiz around and have a look. Yeah, we got to this point where I was doing like log transport jobs, and I had my log transport rig, my gear, and off it would go with my telehandler, my lorry, bang, wallop, fill a lorry, bosh, back, done. But that was using the telehandler to load. This is a little bit more. We haven't got. I'm wondering actually. Just looking here, thinking. So I'm thinking way ahead here. There's a log crane there. But that's a small grapple like this. I'm just thinking that there's a log crane mod, isn't there? I wonder if that's. Can you put that over a track, do you reckon? It would make sense, wouldn't it? There's not really a crossing, is there? We're going to end up just bumping over the track. I'm just concerned if I try and bump over the track and I get stuck. Best way to do this is at an angle. Never go straight on, because you can get yourself in real hot bother. Probably. Oh. I was just about to say I probably should look to see if there was a train coming. There you go. Trains are fairly regular. Oh, hang on. Oh no, you muppet! I literally just said the river, didn't I? The river runs up there. The river goes between us and. Is that a river? Oh, trackway. But there is the river, isn't there? We're going to get all the way over here and realise we can't cross the river. I'm just thinking that plot we were looking at, that's out here, isn't it? I just thought we'd get straight on with it while we're kind of, you know, might as well. I need to get some money in my pocket. I say I need to get a machete, axe, chainsaw. I suppose I could just go straight for chainsaw, but I guess we should really start off small and work our way up. Oh yeah. Ooh. Let's get the sat nav open. Oh yeah, we need to be over here, and it's going to be the other side of the river. There's no crossing point, is there? So I'm going to end up having to go. Oh, it's just there. There you go, that little log pole. That'll be something as far as infrastructure goes. Then we can get some bridges in at some point. But that's going to mean owning the land either side. As far as I'm aware, it's fairly flat. There's a few hilly bits, nothing horrendous. Yep, there's no crossing point, is there? Okay. I'll see you over there in a minute. That's something we can do at some point. Maybe grab the bicycle and we can scout the area. We'll have a bit of a cycle around and see what's what and what's where. Oh look, there's a crossing right here. That would have made more sense, wouldn't it? Oh, I want. Oh, that's a bit dangerous. I'll say, what if we just went along the railroad tracks and then just came off of the railroad tracks? But that's probably a little bit. Probably a bit silly, isn't it? Right, let's go. I was just thinking as I was driving out this way, I wonder. So I've never actually tried it before. I don't. Depends how deep the river is, mind you. I don't want to waste the wood. That's the problem. This is going to be interesting. I was actually saying that. I think we are going to need to put in something, aren't we, at some point? I wonder if the rock breaking job will be removing rocks like that. They won't stay gone. Obviously, the rock falls continue. You know, we know that happens. Yeah, I was just thinking, if that river's not too deep, if I don't own both sides, I don't know how well this would go over it. I think it would be a case. Oh no, I'm sure the wheels roll. Sorry, I'm just thinking through a process which I haven't fully explained yet. I was thinking, If I don't own both sides, and I can't, because I can't put a bridge in unless I do, generally speaking that's the case, what if I cut down some trees and I laid the logs this way, so if like 6 foot long cuts or something, 8 foot maybe, laid the logs in that direction and filled this up. The water could still flow through past the gaps and stuff like that. I'm not talking about like damming it up or anything like that. With the thicker stuff at the bottom and thinner stuff at the top to fill in the smaller gaps, would we be able to drive across those logs? Yeah. So we do need in game, which we don't have yet, do we? We need a bridging, a bit of equipment that does bridging. So not a bridge that you place, a bridge. Hang on a minute. Oh no. Just trying to think. I don't think we have. They've all got front plates to them. I was just thinking like the IT runner packs. That'd be perfect. You just need a flatbed one, but the problem is I'm sure they've all got like headache racks on one end, haven't they? If you could put one of those down, potentially. I don't know. I'm just thinking of ways we can put a little bridge in without having to own the land and making life a little bit easier for ourselves. I don't know. But again, I'm kind of excited because my brain is already thinking, okay, you know, what can we do here? What do we need to do here? Let's put that about there for the moment. Do we need to unfold that? I'm dreading this bit, I'm not gonna lie. This is the bit I didn't want anyone else to see. This is the bit where it all gets really, really ugly and goes horribly, horribly wrong. I'm sure I can do a couple at a time here, but let's get to the middle. Otherwise, this is going to be a catastrophe. So what I need to do as well, bring that towards me, drop it into the gap there, then push forward a little bit, and then close. Come on. Come on now. Oh, we're not central. But we might be alright. Let's go that way. Oh, tearing me. I definitely need to go higher. You know what? I don't use these cranes a lot. Mod reviews, I mean that's pretty much it. So what we'll do, I think, if I swing it around that way, I don't know why I'm swinging around that way, but I don't know. We now bring that down, no, one that in. Just keep that up and that down. There we go. Nope. Might do one in cab. Should we try one in cab? Or is that just is that tempting fate? I'm not sure that's a good idea. Right, let's open that up. You know what? That could have been a lot worse. Right, let's try one here. What's our other view? Oh, I thought we had one from this is going to be a lot trickier, isn't it? We'll do one like this and I won't put you through the rest, don't worry. But 2 at a time's not horrendous. I mean, there's a few here, aren't there? That's because this is one of those yeah, it's that depth perception again, isn't it? How close up? Oh, actually, that might not be too bad. Really? Right. Get it nice and high. Swing around, it's just to speed this whole operation up. Swing it around, don't open it up. There we go. Bring that in towards me, keep that nice and tight. Once we pass that, which we're not, are we? Go that way a little bit, do that. I did it! I did a thing! See, you know, everyone says, oh, the log grabs, they don't work, the physics... I'll be honest, in the past, I'm going to have to get closer, I know that much, because we're quite a way, aren't we? They haven't always been great, I'm not going to lie. But... Twist. Yeah, boy. This is actually... I'm thoroughly enjoying this. I'm going to be doing a lot of this until I can get myself to a point where I can get a rig. I guess the thing is, I tend to shy away from... Well, not shy away from, I just don't tend to do it very often. I don't tend to... a little bit. I don't tend to lease stuff. I tend to go straight for it. If I'm going to do it, I'm going to buy it, you know. Are we there? Yep, we're there. Cool. I tend to say, oh, we'll buy it rather than lease kind of thing. Oh, that wasn't so good, was it? We were in the wrong position there. Let's do that. Can we close that? Bring that down. Can we just nudge that over? No. That does not want to be nudged. Okay, yeah, so I think what we might need to do, because we're not going to have a lot of money to start off with, if I want to get a speedier rig for loading, I think we might have to lease. I'm definitely going to lease a telehandler or something, get that bought in, because I need to speed this process up. If this is how we're going to be earning our money to start off with, I think what I might have to do is get onto the ministry, I need to refer to them as the ministry, and see if we can pick up that rock breaking one as well. I say, it doesn't hurt. They'll supply the equipment. Drop that down. Come on. Close around it. There we go. Yeah, we'll do the rock breaking as well. I'll get a little bit of money. And then what we'll do, it'll just be a case of we're going to be building this up. And let's see if I go... Oh no. I did not mean to do that. How did I do that? I knew it wasn't going to last. Come on. Grab both of them again. Kind of. Let's bring that back. Slide on there. There we go. Swing that way. Open. That'll do. That'll do, donkey. That'll do. Right. Now we can extend. Brilliant. Right. See you in a bit. Let's get these loaded. So I'll get onto them and see if we can get that rock breaking one. We'll get that done. At least it will give us some money in our pocket in episode 1. We've established what we're going to be doing. Established what we're aiming towards. And then we'll see what we can do. I'll have a look. I'll try to as best I can. I know it's not always easy, and like I've said this so many times. You will know yourselves, because we all do it. We have got equipment and machinery that we like, equipment and machinery that we favour, because we know it works, we know how it works, we're used to using it, and you know, whether it be the price, the horsepower, whatever it might be about it that we particularly like. Oh no, not quite there. Oh, I didn't realise I could drive at the same time. Probably not supposed to be able to do that. There we go. I will try to use stuff I haven't used before, whether it be telehandlers and stuff like that. Maybe it's difficult because that Merlot's got a 3-point on the back, and that makes perfect sense if I'm going to do something. Anyway, sorry, I'm just thinking all these things out loud, all these ideas I've got buzzing in my head. Well, I'm not going to lie. I'm really proud of myself. I have to say, I know speeding processes up and getting to a point where you can be making money more regularly is, you know, that's what you're aiming towards and that kind of thing. And will I get there quickly? Hopefully. But I really enjoyed that. And it was very fulfilling. I really felt like I'd achieved something. Like I say, I don't use the cranes very often. Not in anger, you know? So that was brilliant. I really, really enjoyed that. Apparently... Yep, I think. The little rock removal thing has been dropped off, and it was exactly where I thought it was going to be. At least I assume so. Rock removal... Yeah. So when we came through, there were red flags. I mean, that was... When I say I assume so, the red flags were there. So the rock removal is going to be for there. So that will put us in at over 10 grand. 10,695, which is a good start. So I'm honestly, seriously, what do I do? Is this where I'm dropping these off? Well, it was just on the... no, wrong place. Next one over. This is the lumber, isn't it? The logging. But I need to double check. It's not over by the railway. Well, it's always the first time, isn't it? And then once you've done a few of these, it becomes second nature. Bang, straight there, no problem. Yeah. Do I go telehandler? Do I go with an older tractor, something cheap that we could pick up with a front loader, which would get us going to start off with? But if we get a tractor with a front loader, is that going to be high enough to load onto a lorry like this? Do we go for... Oh, I've just had an idea. There was a pickup, wasn't there? That pickup that had a log back to it. So I've done it with pickup before. Western Wales, I just had the pickup, chopping up short logs and throwing them into the back of the pickup. I'm sure there was one with a log bed, wasn't there? Where am I taking these? I don't know. Come back to the map. We're not quite there yet. I'm assuming it's over here. I might have to put on my interactive markers and whatnot, at least so I can work out, and then maybe put in a ground marker, something so I know where triggers and things are. Oh, we're at the right place. We're over a little bit. Maybe it's in here. Let me just double check things. It would make sense, I guess, in here, wouldn't it? We may have cracked it, potentially. If we can drive under, we should be able to drive under it. Out the other side. We'll do the front first. And just over here, we should be right. Fingers crossed. Oh, we're on 21. Sold wood. Nice. And then we should be on to the last bit. We should be contract complete. Done. With another 17 on top. A bonus. I also noticed while we were doing some stuff, a couple of locals have come out of the woodwork. Deary me. Yeah, there's a guy there, Noah. We've just been chatting to Noah. We were asking Noah actually just now about where would we sort this whole kit and caboodle out. And he directed us to some very cunningly concealed markers. There, and then you got these little on the corners here. That's the area within which the woods can be done if you don't have your markers on. That's... Yeah, you won't find that on yours, potentially. I think Noah might have done it for us. And then Ben's around somewhere. There's a guy called Ben. Ben and Noah are knocking about. Anyway, yeah, they just kind of appeared out the forest. Once they realised there were some people about doing some stuff. I guess locals who... He might have run this. He might have run the lumber mill, potentially. I'll have to have a chat with him. They are available for conversations, should you wish. Yeah, right, that's that done. So rather than walk, because I'm... That's right here. Rather than walk all the way over here. Oh, I'm not doing that. Crikey. let's grab this, whiz out and do that rock breaking. What I was also thinking, I'm seriously considering, I think possibly next episode, I'll give it some thought. We have got some piles of rubble and bits and bobs knocking around. If we can find some gravel, or soil would wash away. I'm thinking gravel, stones, something along those lines, and we can build up. What we really need is, I don't think we have them, but we had them on a previous thing, didn't we? Like a piece of pipe. What we want is a bit of round concrete pipe, like a culvert type pipe. We want to put the pipe in first into the water. This is for building a bridge. Then put logs around it, larger ones or smaller ones towards the top to even out. Then across the top of that, put a layer of gravel. If we can smooth it down a little bit, mind you, we are going to need a bucket or we're going to need something. We need a vehicle. We need a vehicle that's got a bucket, potentially. I'm still edging towards the Merlot again, you know. I was only saying like 10 minutes ago, not even that, whenever it was, about trying different equipment and machinery. I'm going to have a look and see what we can get delivered to us first of all. I'll speak to the ministry. We've got to pay for it because, you know, whilst they are paying us, they're not funding what we do. We pitched, you know, there are a lot of companies out there that are doing what we do. What we pride ourselves on is the fact that we can do it and keep the cost down. So rather than keep contacting them saying, right, send us this, send us that, we will pay for the equipment, it will be ours, they will put it on a train, but we're not saying you've got to fund that, we will fund it. And then we gain all this equipment and machinery. At the end of a project, we can sell on or leave for whoever's going to be doing it, and they buy the whole kit and caboodle, so to speak. So anyway, what I was going to say was, I'm pretty sure, looking at the land plot, the mappage, that the ministry owns all this bit here. I'm sure the land they own extends to this bit of forestry. I'm sure it does. In which case, we could potentially lop down a couple of trees. I think the smaller ones might be better actually. If we could lop down a few small ones, not some of the big boys. I mean, we could take some of the big boys, that'd be quite handy. But I'm just thinking for the thinner branches and logs, I don't want it protruding out of the river too much. We want it as flat as we can possibly get it. Because I reckon if we're going to be doing work out there, if we're going to get logging contracts, because that's going to be a log point, I reckon. And obviously the rock removal is going to be out there as well, or one of them. I assume there's going to be others around the map. We will find that out as we go. But we are definitely, because I can't do this all on a bicycle. And it's all well and good, you know, yes, I've got these bits of equipment, these aren't mine, I don't own them, they are simply for the job we're about to do, and then they will go back again. Wherever they just appear out of the ground. Like magic, it's incredible. But we're gonna need a shortcut. We can't, this is going to take ages to keep doing this, so if we can cut across that part of the map, that'll be absolutely golden. And like I say, we haven't got the money to buy the land yet, so I know I'm repeating myself, but I'm just trying to make sure I'm certain in my head. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. At the end of the day, we've lost nothing by trying, you know. And I'm also thinking if we're using the thinner bits of trees as well, they're not worth as much. So if I was using like a whole tree that's got you know, it's got a bit of worth to it. When I was watching that logging thing that I was talking about before, which kind of inspired all of this. This was that kind of, oh, you know what? And I suddenly thought of all the equipment and machinery that we've got available that could be really cool to use. And again, stuff I probably wouldn't normally go towards. And if you're watching this, if you're still with me and you're still on the whole kind of, I'm not a big fan of forestry, we are going to be doing farming. Like I said, we are trying to make this community come back to life again. We are going to have some logging we're going to be doing. We're going to be loading up the train. Sending logs out will only be done by train, I think. We'll see. We've got the lumber mill. If we can do the lumber mill, we might do a bit of that. We might do some production work. We might get some productions running, because if we're going to need infrastructure, we're going to need to create things, because it's going to cost a lot to keep shipping things in. To start off with, it might make sense to ship things in, but as far as farming goes, we are going to need an agricultural arm that we are going to need to be fed. We're going to need things, you know. Corn and potatoes are a good staple, sugar beet, those kind of things. Obviously carrots, parsnips, anything carby, you know, are a good idea. Wheats and things, again, all the things we know. Flour, if we can get some chickens, we've got eggs, you know, we can then start feeding, get a few pigs, we've got pigs. You know how it works. Am I going to get to that point? I don't know. I hope so. I was watching DJ the other day. I watched a few bits and bobs here and there. He's on episode 75 of his Riverbend Springs. I know Daggerwin, his ones go on for, you know, episode after episode after episode. And I tend to get to sort of, I think we did, what, 45 on Riverbend Springs? And I was getting itchy feet to move on and do some other stuff. I could have carried on, but I would, if I'm doing this, I'm thinking, oh, you know, I would really like to go the whole hog. Get a whole load of stuff running, rather than just set myself one target and say, right, okay, we're done. Because we've got all the peat stuff on here as well. I've got no peat equipment, I don't own the land. And the land of all of them is the most expensive, but once purchased, peat harvesting, collection, this is what I'm talking about. So whilst we've got a bridge here, we need a pipe, a culvert. There you go, look, they've done the same thing here. I mean, they've packed in with stones, but a culvert, I know I'm getting my feet wet, but that's right. A culvert with some logs around it, and gravel across the top, maybe. That might work. I mean, we could just put logs the other way. It's a pity, because I know we get like bundles of timber. Wouldn't it be cool, though, if you could split a log in half, and you could put it down so it was like face up, so the flat side was up, and the round, and you could potentially put in a bridge. We could just put logs across the river, but they won't stay in place. The problem with that then is you need to be able to drive over them without the wheels of a vehicle sliding the logs out the way. So it'd be some way of fastening them in place. Potentially a little bit of landscaping. I don't know. It's not something I've really fiddled around with that much. Bridge building, but you know. Anyway, I'm going to say what I always say. This is. I'm going to get this done here. We'll claim our money back from it. I need to sort myself out a chainsaw, axe, machete, one of each. I don't know. I might start off with an axe. I fancy doing some axe work, you know. And then we'll move up to chainsaw. We'll have the money to buy a chainsaw, but I want to keep the money back for if we're going to lease some gear. And then it's going to be a case of sitting down. I might ask Noah if I can just stay at the lumber yard. Going to need a sleeping bag and some gear. This is taking a while. See what I mean? We would have been way quicker if we could go straight across. I'll get the rock breaking done, and I think we might even be done. I want to try, if possible, to try and get the episodes in at sort of 30 minutes, 35, 40 minutes maybe each episode. Doing a 50-minute episode, I like the longevity of an episode. I like getting a lot done within an episode. But the problem with that is the time taken. And with the way the things are, I'm just trying to work out ways of trying to make everything work. With the way things are at the moment with mod drops and maps, weekends are fine, but in the week, with Giants dropping the way they have been dropping stuff, I then run out of time to do my Let's Plays. And I don't want my Let's Plays to just be weekly, you know? So, if I can do shorter episodes, then potentially I can squeeze them in around other stuff. I don't know. I'm just trying to work out the best way to provide, you know, everybody with a bit of what they want, you know, with what they want to see. Let's clear this. So I say it's a pity these don't stay cleared, because that'd be quite cool. And then you know, got to be careful, because you can get clobbered if you do the wrong bits, you know, because that bit there's got no flag over it, so I'll avoid that bit at the moment. I have been caught out a couple of times. That's that bit there. Do this bit here. Nearly there. Which leaves me with, let's go around the back. Whoa. Yep, end up in the drink. It's just what we need. There we go. there we go. So you've got to be careful, because if I'd done those other 2 bits, I might have got in trouble, because those weren't ones that it said it needed doing. I don't think we can landscape those out though either. Do that, and I'll head back with this. So our intent is what was that? Is that stones left over? Oh yeah, of course it is. Our intent is clear. What we're intending. Oh, I should have. Oh, we haven't got anything to grab. I said we should grab those. Can we grab those? Have a little pile of stones. That will help doing our little bridge. Our intent is clear. I've now got to go away and do some thinking about what do we do next. What bit of equipment? What are we going to grab? I mean, I could just do what I've done before, and if once we finish these 2 contracts off, if we get any more of these pop up, am I going to pick them up? Of course I am. Log collection deliveries, log deliveries, or whichever one. They're going to be our bread and butter to get started until we can afford our own little plot of land. Until, you know, whatever we end up doing, that's going to be what pays the bills, because there are no fields for contract work. And again, we're back to that thing again. If you're watching this thinking, well, you know, he's already cheating because he's doing these contracts. If these contracts weren't here, explain to me, please, in the comments. I've asked a lot of times, and people do say some very strange things. If there are no contracts for fields, if there aren't these contracts, if I come onto the map with no money, no land, no equipment or machinery, how do I make money? How would I make money? I've had people then message me when I've said it before saying, well, just put some money in. Okay. And if I do that, then what do you think the response will be? So you've got to think about, you know, I will do the work that needs to be done. Like I say, we did that log loading with the crane. I can't remember the last time I did that. And this is going to take a little bit of time. But like I say, we have got a plan, kind of. I've got an idea of what I want the end result to be, however far down the road that is. We'll find out. But this will encompass a whole load of stuff. All sorts of aspects of Farming Simulator. And it will include farming. Don't worry for the farming people out there. There's going to be some forestry. There may be, I don't know, I'm trying to think what other things we've got available. I want to just try and experience a whole, you know, a whole thing, experience, yes. But I'm really keen to do that bridge. I really want to try it. At the end of the day, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But in my head, it should. We know how that often works. It should, shouldn't it? And imagine if it did work. If it works, then it's really cool. We just need a pipe. We need a. The problem is there's not a liftable, like there's decorative items, but to place a decorative item you need to own the land. So that's not going to work. It needs to be something I can put down. But anyway, this is where I'm going to leave our first episode. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, please give us a like. Give us a like anyway. If you don't subscribe yet, please do. If you want to leave a comment, feel free. And if you want to share this video, then of course, please be my guest. Whatever you should choose to do. I'll see you on the next one. And thanks for watching.